everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com, back with another episode of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. Today's episode number is 41. It's crazy that we've already been through 41 episodes. But today I want to do something a little bit different than I've traditionally done on a podcast, but it's actually this thing that I've been doing for about 4 years. And that's share some of the things that are going on in the shop right now. This will be like really common jobs, failures that we're seeing, weird issues, a funny story that I got saved for the end, sort of like a shop shots kind of deal, but a little more interactive. So I posted a picture on Instagram, this would have been Tuesday, I guess, right before I left work, of a brand new GTI engine that one of the boys is going to be installing in the shop. And this car actually was a dealer trade and came to our dealership. And once it got warm, it started making a really loud knocking noise. And I don't know the full diagnostic procedure, but basically we called Volkswagen. Well, I didn't call Volkswagen. He called Volkswagen, and they had him replace the engine. The crazy thing is this engine only has 80 miles on it. So, a huge, huge deal on a car that basically has no miles on it. What was really interesting, though, is this engine came with intake manifold, turbocharger. This is the first time I've ever even seen a Volkswagen engine come with a clutch on it. It's absolutely crazy. So hopefully it's a quick job for him, and if we can disassemble it a little bit before sending it back, I'll try and get some good pictures and see if we can get a better idea of what actually was going on. And it'll be cool to show some of the variable timing and stuff on this new generation GTI engine. But it's always weird when you have a brand new car that hasn't even been sold yet have that expensive of a repair. I want to say the bill came in at about $11,000, so it was absolutely nuts. Luckily, that's not a common one, just a really oddball one that I wanted to share with you guys. The other things that we've been seeing a lot of lately are, and this is actually really new over the last few days, is failures of the 2.0 turbo, like the CCTA engine code, wiring harnesses. And we've been seeing that show itself in the form of cam position sensor fault that'll clear. The fault will go away for a few days and then come back, and then you clear it or you replace something and it'll go away and it'll come back again. So my teammate actually had one too. So he called Volkswagen again, and they basically advised him to check a few measuring value blocks and then go ahead and put a harness in it. I actually got a call from my buddies at Apex Tuning with a similar issue, so I assume we're going to start seeing one or two more of these pop through. That is just my assumption. That doesn't mean that this is going to be an ongoing problem with Volkswagen. The other thing that we've been doing a lot of is ECM updates. The biggest one we've seen is the TDI Passats for an issue with the turbocharger on cold start. Now, when we get these software updates, we don't always know everything that the update does. It's basically just an updated version of the software. So it can do one little thing that they say it does, but it could do a million things more. It could impact other things. Generally, we don't know. We get very limited information. But this has to do with turbocharger function on cold start. So beyond that, I'm not 100% sure of exactly what it does or what else it may do. But it's a pretty quick flash. It takes 30 minutes or so. They've usually been coupled with like a 10K or a 20K free service. A couple other updates. I posted a while back about the Jetta and Beetle rear trailing arm bulletin, where in an accident, the trailing arm may not crumple enough, or, there's a ton of things. I don't even want to speculate on some of the stuff that could happen. I'm not going to go down that road. Basically, we're just checking for straightness of the rear trailing arms on the solid beam axles. And that's a super quick update. We're basically putting a straight edge on it, checking it with a measured piece. And if it's straight, it's straight. We send it out the door. I've actually never seen one that's had the damage explained in the bulletin. If you have, post it up in the comments and let us know, because I'm actually really curious if any of you guys have seen that. The other one that I've been asked about recently is the fuel rail update on the 1.8 turbos, the newest generation 1.8 turbos. We've seen a lot of those. Never seen one with an issue, never seen one with a fuel leak, never seen one cracked or damaged in any way, shape, or form. But we've been getting a ton from some of the local rental car companies come in for basically a fuel rail replacement. And I actually haven't done one yet, but I've seen a lot of them done in the shop. A lot of the guys have done them. We have one team that works with a lot of the rental car companies, so they've been doing the bulk of them as well as the lot cars. So as far as it being, a severe issue, I don't think it is. Again, I haven't seen any that are a problem, but it's cool to see Volkswagen taking such a proactive approach on something that, even at 100,000 miles might be a problem. again, I don't really know. They've definitely been putting a lot of these fuel rails on. We've also had sort of a rehash of an older problem, and that's failing ignition coils. Gosh, I've probably put 5 or 6 ignition coils on different cars over the last few weeks, and they seem to always be a misfire on cylinder 1 on the CCTA engines. And this has been on, I think, 2 or 3 Tiguan's, 1 or 2 Jettas, so it's not just isolated to one vehicle, but it is isolated to that one engine. The good thing about that particular misfire diagnosis is that it's really easy to do. Basically, we're checking faults, seeing what cylinder has the misfire, popping the coils up, swapping them around, obviously paying attention to where we're swapping, and then rechecking and see where the misfire moved to. So if my misfire is on cylinder 1, I take that coil out, I move it to 3, now my misfire moves to 3, I know I got a bad coil. Luckily, they're cheap enough that it's not a huge expense to the customer, but it has been like a weird run of them, and I'm not sure if it's temperature related or maybe moisture related in the air with all the rain we've had here lately, but it's definitely been a little bit of a run of them. And it's actually really weird how problems like that happen. We'll see runs of, last year it was DPFs. I would do like 5 or 6 in a row, and then, I haven't seen one since. Now it's coil packs or intake manifolds or water pumps, and you see clusters of them, and then you don't see them for a while. It's really cool, really interesting. Speaking of intake manifolds, I did one today. I've had 3 or 4 in the last couple weeks. I did a video all about how those fail. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the show notes to that. Today's was a good one. The little arm popped out, so severe vacuum leak, idle control was all whacked out, and the car ran like crap. Luckily, it was just that one thing causing it. So put an intake manifold in under warranty extension, and customer was happy. I got paid really well to do it, so everybody wins. Another one that I've done a video on is the CCTA water pump failure. The last couple I've seen, actually one was leaking, which is the most common way I've seen it fail. But I'm starting to see a new way that they fail, and that's not the water pump necessarily failing. It's actually the thermostat failing. It's all one piece, so the water pump and thermostat are housed in the same unit. And I've been seeing faults for malfunction in cooling system, or vehicle takes too long to warm up, engine temperature too low, and that generally results in failure of the thermostat. So I put one on last week, Tiguan, I believe, where it had the code for a failed thermostat. Not as common as the coolant leaks, but they're starting to pop up here and there. Sadly, the doozy. We had a new Golf that was in the showroom, the battery was dead, and I guess they went to jump start it to pull it out of the showroom because a customer was going to buy it. And then from what I hear, it sounds like they jump started the vehicle backwards. So they put the negative to the positive and the positive to the negative. And as you might imagine, that is a bad choice for a modern vehicle. So they put a battery in it. All the lights in the dash were flashing. I think he found 1 or 2 blown fuses, replaced the fuse. Now I think it's communication with the steering rack. There's probably a myriad of other problems going on with it. I don't know all the details, but I'll keep you guys posted on what happened. So I don't know who the knucklehead that jump-started it backwards was, but he'll be in for a bad time, I'm sure. It's actually not the first time I've seen that. I've seen it happen 2 other times that I can remember. One was someone jump-started a CC backwards and smoked the ECM, the engine control module, and that cost, $1,300 something for an ECM. The other one is the worst one that I've ever seen, and that was someone jump-started the convenience battery of a Phaeton backwards, melted the harness right in front of the left rear taillight, I believe, and it totaled the vehicle, because the only way you could fix all that without creating a jumble of wires, as big around as your waist, is to replace the body harness. And the body harness was probably like 10 grand or something crazy like that, on top of, a million hours labor. So sadly, that one got totaled and parted out or something, who knows. But that would be a pretty miserable job on a Phaeton to do a entire vehicle harness. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. That is sort of the state of the shop and where we're at and some of the things that we're seeing. Hey, if you like this show like this, let me know, because this is something I can definitely do more of. Maybe even just a quick 3-minute video, something like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, I always appreciate that. If you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the blog humblemechanic.com, or obviously on YouTube. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.